tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Welcome to The Big Puzzle. In this podcast, we explore the subtle connections between science, religion, politics, economics, and history. One piece at a time, we unveil the big picture of this shared experience that we call life. So let's try to wrap this series and let's see what we learned so far. So in the first episode, we talk about the concept of services, right? And when we're talking about this very simple economy, we usually start focusing on the goods. The wealth is measured in goods, but also there are services. Then we explain how these services that are a big, good contribution for the economy that allow us to do things that we couldn't do otherwise, they could be abused and they can be turned into subscriptions, right? So through manipulation or influence or persuasion or whatever you want to call it, marketing, we can be put in a state of temporary dumbness or stupidity, right? That we can't think clearly. And that would make us make bad decisions. I think we've all been there, right? That we were sold something that we didn't want to buy and you feel pretty stupid after you do that. But things are getting worse because people are figuring out that they could put us in a situation, in a state of permanent dumbness, permanent stupidity. And at that point, they can sell us whatever they want. So we make things even worse because we involve the government in doing things that we should be doing ourselves. Part of that is regulations. We've already discussed that. There's certain places where regulations make sense, but the government is always going to try to get more power to fear us less. But so through laziness, through convenience, we give more and more power to the government, and instead of us taking the responsibility of the economy, so the free markets. And finally, we talk about the think as a service. That's the latest stage of capitalism before, I believe, it starts collapsing, because now it's way easier for the power to be concentrated to create monopolies or oligopolies, and people would be not looking for the best interests because they don't know what their interests are. They can't think for themselves. In the past, I created a video talking about unintended consequences, and we are living in the era of unintended consequences. People can't think 2 steps ahead in the decisions that they make. So that's where we are to this point. But why would we want to have capitalism? Well, because it's all about freedom, like I was saying in the introduction. People used to be very mindful and very fond of their freedom. Why? Because they knew what was not to have freedom, right? So we live in an era where most people haven't struggled, at least in the first world, through wars, through economic crisis, through anything. And basically, they don't value their freedom at all. They are willing to trade it for whatever, right? They're willing to sell it for very, very cheap. So, capitalism is the economic side of that freedom. Right? Capitalism is based on free markets. There's a reason why they're free. You're not imposed. Nobody's forcing you to buy or to restricting you from buying. So if people agree, they can do whatever they want, and that is freedom. Those that have to do with the options that you have. So capitalism is a necessary condition for freedom. Unfortunately, it's not a sufficient condition. So that means that you need to have capitalism, but capitalism is not enough. You need to have something more, and what you need to have is intelligence. So capitalism and stupidity, it's a very bad idea, and in the short term ends up killing capitalism. Because if the first thing that you try to sell when you're given the opportunity to sell something is your freedom, your intelligence, your agency, then you won't have any more capitalism. You won't be able to freely trade because you don't know what to trade. You gave up on your own agency, basically your own humanity. You dehumanized yourself by losing all these freedoms. And why do I say that? So this is connected to the other concept that we've discussed in the past that has to do with consciousness. So why AI is not going to work is because AI is not conscious, and it cannot be conscious. Because consciousness, even though we don't fully understand it, we can see one of the characteristics that consciousness is related or requires agency, requires you the ability to make decisions, right? To have options. So there's two ways that you can lose that agency. One is through giving it up, right? Not making decisions. Or the other one is to reducing the number of options that you have to zero, right? So you cannot exercise your agency. So, for example, you have the freedom to decide to jump off a cliff, right? You're exercising your freedom. You had one option that was to not jump, and the other one that was to jump. And if you chose the one to jump without thinking about unintended consequences or without being prepared for those consequences, well, you run out of options. So basically, you lost your freedom, and soon enough you lose your life. So that's why intelligence and options and agency and freedom are all interconnected. When you have options, through your intelligence, you exercise your freedom. So you choose from all those options, but it's not just random. It's not just, whatever option I choose is the same one, because that intelligence will tell you which options will lead to more options in the future, more freedom. So every decision that you make will either amplify your freedom or reduce your freedom, right? So that produces a virtuous circle. You have options, you have intelligence, you have freedom that leads to more options, and so on. And your intelligent growth, your freedom growth, your options grow. But then you get the virus of convenience. Convenience, that is another name of laziness, and it's another name or another avatar of stupidity, right? Because it really breaks that cycle. You make wrong decisions for convenience, and then that leads you to have less freedom, to have less options, and suddenly you don't have anything anymore. So capitalism is just capitalism by name. Remember the example that I put, that if Jeff Bezos would decide to give his fortune back, well, all humanity next day would go to Amazon and basically give him the money back, right? None of these billionaires are billionaires because they stole or they used force or coercion. They abused our ignorance, they abuse our laziness, they abuse our convenience, but we gave it freely, so we sold it for free. And also from a spiritual point of view, isn't it interesting that the first record that we have when God gave us the freedom to choose if we wanted to accept his plan and come to the earth and basically exercise the agency that he was giving us to make decisions, to make mistakes, to learn from those mistakes, having a savior that would allow us to, be cleansed from our mistakes and keep progressing and becoming more like him, like God. And 1/3 of us, 1/3 of our brothers and sisters, the first thing that they used that freedom for was to give up on that freedom. And they decided to follow Satan with his false promises of convenience, of just give me your agency, just I will tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. He will have all the regulations for you. He will protect you from everything. Obviously, that doesn't work. That is the lie. That is the lie of convenience. Convenience is always taking something for you. It's always coming back for its pound of flesh, right? So we have a lot of of references, in Fausto, in the classics, we see that idea of not dealing with the devil, right? Because he will always come and for ultimately for our souls, right? But we are the ones who sign that contract for some convenience. So we are living in an era that is characterized by that. We don't think further. We cannot see the consequences of what we're doing. We contribute to the problems that we're experiencing. We fear, and we make decisions based on fear. We have lost trust. We have lost trust in our own humanity, in our own identity, the real identity. We created fake identities. We virtue signal things, but we never solve the real problems. We never address the real problems. We consider intelligence to be something that has no value, and if we can trade that for whatever, we definitely would. So I hope that if you're watching these videos, you are not like that, and you're also concerned about where we're going. And what can we do? Again, I don't know, but I know what I can do, what I can try to do, right? And part of this is these videos, and talk to people and talk to my family and explain these things. And hopefully some people will understand and will say, yeah, I will start seeing convenience differently. I will start to avoid it. I will start to be very mindful about the cost of the things that I'm doing. And hopefully we can change something. So, okay, with this, I think I'm wrapping up this series. I think it was 4 videos, but we will keep talking about these things. So some we open some branches or some other pieces of the puzzle that will connect to this, and we will be exploring those in the future. So, well, until then, see you. Bye.